Scott, the season of game company gaffes continues, with NetEase apologizing for a Marvel Rivals preview contract that asked streamers not to make subjective negative reviews of the game. Ted Litchfield over at PC Gamer. Then why even put out a preview? This is the biggest thing. If you don't want people to be honest, then don't let them say anything. Scott, you brought this up just before even going live here. Just do a closed beta.
Yeah, then you get away with a lot of NDAs. You can write in whatever you want in an NDA in that case. This to me sounds like getting off on the wrong foot.
Absolutely. Publisher NetEase has walked back a controversial non-disparagement requirement for streamers and video makers previewing its upcoming shooter, Marvel Rivals. Just one day after the prominent streamer Brandon Siegel criticized the contract on Twitter. NetEase made a statement on the game's Discord and to PC Games End that it would be amending the contract. Marvel Rivals is an upcoming 6v6 hero shooter reminiscent of the one and only Overwatch. Almost to a T. Wouldn't you agree, Scott?
Oh, Overwatch original, how I miss ye.
Rivals is beginning its first closed alpha playtest, with a number of content creators previewing the game as part of the test. The offending clause of the contract alpha participants were required to sign what reads as follows. The non-disparagement, the content creator agrees not to make any public statements or engage in discussions with the detrimental to the reputation of the game. This includes, but is not limited to. Dude, this was bizarre, to say the least, right? Making disparagement or satirical comments about any game-related material, such as game features, characters, or music, engaging in malicious comparisons with competitors, or belittling the gameplay or differences of Marvel Rivals, or providing subjective negative reviews of the game. Okay, dude, go read the rest of the article. This is where I stop right here. Do not send out an NDA with the idea of heading into a preview and tell us, the content creators, not to say anything negative about the game. If there's a problem with the game, we have to bring this up. This is our job, right? This is what we do so that our audience trusts us in what we cover. That is the biggest thing for us. We build upon our community by relying on them trusting us in the context of what we say, of what we've played ahead of them. That is it.
That's generally the point of these. Well, in this case, you might look at it and go, okay, well, this is just the company wanting to take feedback directly to do with some of the game components. Well, that's fine. But then why are you stating you have to be positive, essentially? That's where it gets weird to me. It's either, don't let any feedback out to the public because the feedback is only for the company, or it's all free. It's all fair game. There's no middle ground. So to say that you have to be positive, you can't. No subjective negative reviews. What about objective negative reviews? Where do we draw the line there?
Well, it's funny because then you get into this whole discussion, right? Like reviews, previews, they're all subjective to start with. Like really, like it's my opinion versus your opinion versus somebody else's opinion, right? There are games I absolutely adore, people hate, and that's okay, right? Like straight up, dude. I get it. You don't like the game? That is cool, but to limit us on the conversation, we've had embargoes. You can only talk about this, and this. Don't talk about this. Cool, but not once do we get told don't say anything negative, because if there's a negative take, then we have to kind of voice that opinion because we build upon trust when we build our community. That is the biggest thing that they have to understand. So this was such a weird thing coming out of NetEase. I am glad that they've gone back to say, okay, hey, wait, we're gonna fix this. No, just put out your preview. It shouldn't have been there to start with. Backpedaling is one thing, but it was just weird of NetEase to even do that in the first place, Scott.
It does kind of remind me of the situation with Suicide Squad and how there was the closed betas, the early access kind of period for that. But I believe the company did quite the opposite in that case, where they said, you can talk about it however you want to talk about it, get the word out.
Yeah.
And that was the way to properly handle it, even though they stood to take a lot of criticism for that.
Sure did. Absolutely did, right? But then if you know that it's coming, that tells me that the game isn't ready. That's the other side of it, right? If you can't take the critical feedback, then why are you putting it out? Because it's going to be coming your way regardless. You can't just falsify your game, put it out there, and expect everybody to love your game when you know yourself that it isn't ready, right? And this is just an alpha test. Let's get in. Here's the good points. Here are the bad points. Hopefully they fix the bad points, right? So then NetEase knows, you know, as a consumer, as an audience member, that, okay, this is what we're going to get into when we go in. Is it okay that these are enough negatives that I'm still okay with jumping in, right? I don't know.
I think if you were NetEase, I think you'd want to have some of those negativities come out, because that gives you the opportunity on launch to say, look, we fixed all these problems that were first brought up, and we're listening to the feedback, we're going through. That's how you win good faith with consumers.
Absolutely. And you can always have your faith in us over on ITGTV.com.